Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast, and I'm here with my guest.
Scott Buening, head football coach, Southridge High School.
So, coach, since we're 2 weeks into the season, and 2 weeks in, how do you think your team's looking so far?
Well, little up and down. I think as we went through the summer, I think we felt like consistency was an area where we needed to improve and get better. I think we started out a little inconsistent, to be frank. Losing to Heritage Hills week one, there's no shame in losing to those guys in regards to great tradition, great program, tremendous players. I think we were disappointed though in how we played, and just we take a lot of pride in really hanging in there when things are not going real well, and just didn't think we did a great job from that perspective. I will say I thought going into week two, both our coaches, players, everybody took some ownership in that, and felt really responded well against a good Boonville team, and was able to get and play more. I think what we've come to believe, it's or how we define Raider football, and just playing tough, hard-nosed, aggressive football, and win, lose, or draw in that Boonville game. I think that's what we wanted to feel like we did, and fortunately, I think we felt like we did that, and we were able to come out with a win. So we'll take that.
So you've held Boonville to a grand total of 0 points, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So when your defense has a performance like that, does it make you feel more and more confident for the rest of the season that your defense is capable of doing that? Because Boonville won week one, right?
Yes, they did. They beat Paoli in week one, and yeah, they put up. And Paoli's got traditionally a pretty good program, and they scored 26 in week one. And so, we don't get too caught up in statistics, but anytime you can shut a team out, it is something that it's definitely a good feeling.
So, what you said that maybe the mentality is a little bit different from week one to week two. Did you think maybe any certain positional groups stepped up and really started playing better? Did you get better? Were the trenches better than they were the week before?
Yeah, I've told our group this in practice, and I'm not. We typically don't single groups and guys out, but I told both our O line and D line we all felt like they were pretty responsible. Had a lot to do with how week one went. Just didn't think we were very physical, very aggressive. We had a lot of fundamental flaws, things like that. Really didn't feel like we finished. But on the flip side, I told them. And we, our staff, felt like they had everything to do with how we did in week two. They we're not very big. We've typically not been a very big team just physically, and so we really rely on being able to gap up front defensively and stunt, and we're just trying to cause some penetration and some things like that. And it's really the only way we can play. In week one, and Heritage Hills had a lot to do with that week one as well. But we had some controllable things, techniques, fundamentals that we felt like weren't real great. And when you're playing teams like we have here in week one and week two, you can't just go in with your bayonet and act all tough and feel like you're going to be able to get things done, because they're tough and strong and well coached too. And so, but really, our offensive line, our defensive line, both, I felt like they really took control of the Boonville game early on, and continued throughout, and was real proud of those guys' efforts.
So because you're coming off this week two victory, our practice is easier this week than they would be, I guess, the previous week.
No, definitely not. But I think I understand what you're getting at with that question. It's last week was kind of an anomaly. We didn't practice outside till about 7:15, 7:30 at night. A couple nights we were inside a lot, and I think part of that ownership that our coaches and players took from the week one loss was just in how we practiced. And it's not going out there and just beating the heck out of each other and just, going all ego, testosterone, all that kind of stuff, that often gets associated with football. But more so just the intensity of our practice reps and just I think we played like we practiced, and I think we were, that was something that we took from week one that we needed to be, we really needed to pick up the intensity of our reps. Not that we had to get a bunch more and just beat the heck out of everybody. That never accomplishes anything. But I think we've just got more intentional about how we practice, how well we practice, how hard we practice, and make it more game like and just a little bit of a sense of urgency. And we need to keep that moving forward. That's the only way you're going to be successful and be able to compete against the other teams in this area. And so it's so hopefully I feel like we've kept that up this week, and we're going to need to continue, or we're going to pay a price again, just like we did in week one.
You play Tecumseh week 3, right?
That's correct.
So are there 2 weeks in? Is there enough stuff you guys can kind of, I guess, look at? Can you tell what Tecumseh wants to do offensively now to a point where you guys think you can game plan, I guess, efficient? Are 2 weeks enough to efficiently game plan for what a team wants to do?
I think it gives you a pretty good idea. I think when you look at their week one, week two, they graduated a really good senior class last year, and I think they're in the midst of, like a lot of us are, and even when you have experience coming back, each team still has its own identity, and you're still trying to figure out kind of how that mixes together and how it meshes, and I think they're in the midst of doing that after graduating so many kids and so many kids that were vital to the success they had last year. But they seem to have they run kind of a unique option look out of shotgun and things, and we think we have a pretty good idea, but it's they're kind of, I think, as we were after week one, I think that's where they're at after 2 weeks here starting out. And so I think I think they're still trying to find that good mix that they like with their kids. And so we'll prepare with what we've seen and what we know. And but I think you're always doing yourself a disservice to get limited to just those things. And I think that's where your defensive and offensive concepts come into play. And you can't prepare for everything that somebody's going to do, but if you have systems and processes built up within the schemes that you have, and a toolbox that you can go to with different fronts and coverages and things like that, I think that's the important part. And then that's what gives you the ability to adjust as the game goes on.
So I always ask this of every coach: how many freshmen are actively like playing on varsity right now for you?
So we have, in my 11 years, we've had one freshman who really, throughout the entire season, actually contributed and was a rotator starter type. That was Tucker Shank. He was on our state championship team in 2017. And we have two freshmen that we actually just moved up this week. But other than that, we really never, we typically just haven't had freshmen contribute anyway. We'll dress 2 or 3. And then once the freshman season's over, we keep some, we give the rest the option whether they want to stay and dress in the tournament and those kind of things. But we've got 2 up, and it's more, and they're not kids in the rotation right now or anything like that, but they're kids that just, we think, have earned the right to be up there, and that's pretty typical for us.
Well, because I've talked to a couple different coaches, and some of them, like, having freshmen maybe, all 4 years helps you develop them. But then some coaches are like, well, they're, 14 trying to go against 18-year-olds, and
yeah. That's kind of the approach we take, even in practice. We have our own freshman team. We mix in some sophomores sometimes. We just want to try to get everybody playing time. But what we do is we separate groups off even in practice. And, we have our black group. We have a group we call the SEAL team, and those guys kind of work together. And then we separate the other guys off. Football is not a sport. It's not like baseball. You throw a freshman out there, it's not a it's not a collision sport, not a contact
Yeah.
sport. And, so we really try to do a good job of making sure we get kids physically, emotionally, maturity wise, that are in a position where they can be successful and have an opportunity to grow and not throw them into something they're not ready for yet.
So on, I guess on that topic, you have seniors are on the team, So do you try to get, I've talked to a couple different coaches about this. Is there a struggle to get maybe seniors playing time, even though like maybe they wouldn't be getting snaps normally, but because they are seniors, sometimes you don't want to force feed them snaps, but you want to make sure seniors get a fair shake in playing time?
Sure. And we one of the things that we really pride ourselves in is in the summer we really don't do a lot from the time football season's over until maybe the last week of June, and in July we really don't touch a football. We want our kids out competing in other sports, and we want them training, and we just get away from the football specific aspect of it. Now, when we get to July, and we start with our kids, our core kids who, and kids that have, committed to our team and program and training and do the right things. And we give them as much opportunity as we can to earn roles. Now, we're not just going to blindly play somebody just because they're older. I tell the kids all the time, it's not based on, who was born first, and whose mom and dad got together first. We don't, we don't get too caught up in that. But it is extremely important to us that we make sure that we give those kids an opportunity to earn roles. And I really think your season's going to go as your seniors go. And and we also try to be very intentional about roles and valuing roles. If we've got a young man who moved here in January, and we've nicknamed him Captain Sideline because the kid's got all kinds of enthusiasm, and he's great on the sidelines. Brings a lot of passion and energy, and that's great. We need it, and so just because on the field, off the field, I feel like and I think kids understand that you do have to be able to perform at a certain level. It is competitive. It is big boy football. But I also, I would say we as a staff, we really, we try to help the kids understand, even though it's tough. I mean, I've been in situations where I wasn't good enough to play and couldn't get on the field, things like that. And that doesn't make you a lesser person, and it doesn't make you less valuable to our team. And we try to put our money where our mouth is with how what we do with those kids, and to make sure it's not just lip service we're saying it, but also in our actions and what we do with those guys. And ultimately we're going to put our best kids on the field, and I don't think you're doing kids favors by playing them when they're not good enough to play, because I think that's just, I think you're sending an entitled message, that's not, it's not good for our society. It's not good for our kids. It's not good. Sometimes that's just the way it is. But again, that doesn't define you. What defines you is how good you are in your role, whatever that role may be.
So that kind of brings me to, you said you've been there 11 years, right?
Yes, sir.
So what shape was the program in when you, I guess, took over?
Good shape. We had Southridge struggled years and years ago, and Brad Hanner came in years ago in the late '90s, and he really energized the program, and he took them to the state finals in 2002. And then Kelly Murphy, who was actually at Wood Memorial before he came here, he came in and took over for Coach Hanner, and they went to the state finals in 2006. And then I came in 2013 and took over. Coach Murphy went into administration, and so he moved in there. And I've told people on numerous occasions, the consistent element is in Raider football is the families and the assistant coaches. We've gone to 4 in 82, 02, 06, and 17. We've been to 4 state titles. state championships games, and that's been under 4 different head coaches. And so, that's not really the common thread. And so the program was in good shape. And and so it's, coming in, it was, trying to do our jobs to make, whatever we have to make it better and continue to push forward and improve. But it certainly wasn't, any kind of rebuild or redo or anything else. There was a lot of great structures in place.
So I guess would that make, because as a high school coach, you're actively, I guess, recruiting the hallways, right?
Yep.
So does that, because the program's in good shape, does that definitely makes, I guess, your job easier because you already have a lot of the talent already assembled?
Well, I think so. The school I was at before here, I was the head coach at Jennings County for 4 years, and that was a school that, frankly, was similar to Pike Central, I think, in some regards, where we had a lot of great kids, a lot of kids that were passionate, that wanted to do well, had coaches and community and things that wanted to do well. They've worked their butts off over there, and they keep trying to get better and improve, and it's tough and it's a challenge, and I would say that I don't think it makes it easier. And I've been on both sides of this because I think you're always looking. We even do this with our kids. We really have a growth mindset and how we approach what we do. We don't get as caught up in our opponents as we do being better than we were and trying to be our best. And I know that's cliche and simplistic and everything else, but I think there's just so much truth in it. And so that pressure, I think, I think anybody worth their salt is trying to be the best they can be and really trying to push to get the most out of themselves, each other, the program, the team. And, I've never felt like, let's just say I'm not sure I've taken a deep breath since I've got into this profession. And probably the day I do take a deep breath is going to be the day that it's going to be time to go do something else. And because there's just always the next thing. And, so now we'll say it makes it more enjoyable. I won't lie about that. That was quite a grind at Jennings County when I was there. And again, we had our coaches were awesome, our community, our staff. I mean, and the kids and they just had challenges, different challenges, and the program was in a different place. And, and you just want to see those. Pike Central goes sectional championship last year. That was awesome for them. They got a win last week. I like I said, I've been through that, and and I respect those guys who go about and do those things.
So I guess so then do you still, I guess, actively go to I guess other sporting events out Southridge to see? I don't know if the shortstop has running back tendencies or
Yeah, I get it. Well, my daytime job here is I'm the athletic director here,
yeah.
so I do end up at quite a few events anyway, because it is kind of my job too. But our one strength that I think we have in our department, our coaches all get along very well. We all believe it's important that our kids compete year round. The idea of specialization and not competing and playing other sports just doesn't make sense to us. It doesn't work for us. It's not something we believe in. And so we're constantly, and if our kids, there's really not a path of least resistance for our kids. If they're not in a sport, then they're training after school, and the idea is to challenge these guys all the time. And yeah, I'll tell you, we're all always trying to get kids, because we believe it's important for the kids to get out and play for Southridge, and put that name on their jersey and to be a part of something. And we believe it's good for them, not just for our program and those kind of things. And so, yeah, I mean, we're always recruiting and trying to get kids out. And it's not always because they have talent. It's just, we believe in what we do. We believe that what we do is good for kids, and not just in football, but in all of our sports. And the more involved they are, we really believe the better experience they're going to have in high school. And we believe that as they go on, post high school, that it's going to benefit them as well.
I guess I asked this because I learned something new. The athletic director job, is there anything that surprises you about it, or is it?
When I I wanted to be a head coach, and so you read all these books, and you think you got it all figured out, and I tell people it's kind of like having kids. You can read all the books you want, talk to all the people you want, but until you have them, you figure it out as you go. And that surprised me. I think when I became a head coach, I thought I knew it all, thought I had all this figured out. I tried to get involved in a lot of things as an assistant and really make sure that I was prepared. And you really never are prepared until you just jump in the fire and go. So when I took this role as athletic director 4 years ago, the only thing I did know was that there was going to be a ton of crap I didn't know, and so it didn't surprise me when I had a lot of stuff to figure out. And it can be a grind sometimes, with just the supervisions at night and things like that. But every day I get out there, it's like, man, I can't believe I get to do this like for a living. And whether it's going watching soccer, going watching volleyball, and being there, and you're working with the coaches every day. You're working with the kids. Like I said, so many of our kids cross over. I love that. And but man, this just from the managing the finances and schedules and all those things, and officials. You certainly are appreciative. We've got a great Audrey Hartloff as our athletic assistant. She's incredible. Our administration's great. Everybody works together and helps. Our coaches are amazing, and so it's like I said, it has its days and its moments, just like any other job. But I love it, and yeah, I mean, I'm 4 years into this, and I think I got my head above water, but there's still so much yet to learn and do, and getting better. But I think that's what gives you purpose in life, and keeps you sharp, and so I do value all those things.
So, as an athletic director, can you like change the logo if you want? Like if you talk to someone, could you?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. We actually did a rebranding last year.
That
We were
night,
very do what?
that night logo?
That
Yeah.
yes,
That
yes.
is
So
the single coolest logo in the tri-state area.
we have a local group who does this, and they're all Southridge graduates. They run a tremendous business, and they do all this design, branding, all the and they were I think most of them there are coaches' wives, even, and things like that. And the owner's a coach. He coaches baseball, and so they jumped in as we were, because our motto that we kind of implemented when I took over was 20 sports, one team, and really trying to unify and just take that approach to what we did. And so we were 20 sports, one team with about 30 different logos. And so that didn't seem to make a lot of sense. And our school wanted to rebrand. So we just kind of put it all together. And the only traditional logo really was this flaming S here that I have on my shirt, and that's been football's logo for years. And so that was it took a little working. We've still kept it as basically our marker, and it's part of the logo stuff. Worked within the night and all those kind of things. And but man, that Woods Branding is who that is, and they did just an incredible job with what they did, and not just like designing something, but how to implement it, and then how to utilize it, and then what hell, I learned more about marketing than I could ever imagine just in that time, and how you go about all this. And yeah, it's been a very successful. It's been very successful.
Yeah, so that night is a cool looking night, and you can always have a letter logo and like a logo too.
Sure.
They have different purposes.
Yes, and I wasn't sure how all that was going to come together, because I knew our football people, that S would meant a lot, and we actually did some surveying and had some questionnaires and stuff, and kind of seeing just if that was still something they valued, and it was unanimously yes. And I'm like, oh boy, okay, well work to keep this sucker in there, and glad we have, glad we did, glad it's been accepted, and then and all the other sports have little markers too. So football didn't get any favoritism here. Just everybody's got their little markers, and then we have the unification, I guess, overall. And yeah, that night is really cool. It's grown on me big time.
The so what is I have never had the chance to be up to your guys' field. What is your field turf?
Yes, it is. We actually had, I think, the first turf field in this area. This is either year 13 or 14, and it's actually going to be the last year. We're going to be replacing it next season.
The I was gonna say, so I guess as the athletic director, just kind of curious because you're athletic director, you have like the power to like, decide like how you paint it, I guess, right? Like obviously you're gonna paint it green. Obviously, don't do the Bozy thing. But
No,
the
we're not doing that.
but I mean like you can like decide what goes like in midfield and what in the end zone and that, right?
We I will say, like myself, our principal, our superintendent, school board, we very rarely do I go out on an island on anything.
Yeah.
And the good part is we're almost always on the same page with things. So I think they'll value my opinion some on it. But I will also say we will all be on the same page with whatever we go with.
So I guess back to actual football now. I think that's where we started. Uh, no, you just got me so interested in because you're athletic director. So I just want to know what you guys all
Yeah, good deal.
control. The so because you've had a quite a bit of success, and high school is kind of like you'll have some good years, and then maybe if you have a short end senior class or a smaller senior class, maybe it's a little bit of a rough year, and then you'll kind of ebb and flows. But do you think what do you think's been like the key component to being good year after year after year? And then maybe if you have an off year, you'll be back to 12 wins the next year.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think really it comes down, I think a big part of it's consistency. And I'm talking consistency in like our youth league and having, people down there that do a really good job, organizing it and working with us, and being on the same page, as a program. And I think that's what I mean by consistency is, K-12. We feel like we've got a K-12 program, and I think we try to stick to a process that we believe in. Whether it's strength training, whether it's youth league, middle school, how we approach our young kids, how we grow them, what we value, what we make important, all those kind of things. I really think, and when you have families that take pride, in a program, and you've got kids that take pride in a program, we've got coaches, we've had tremendous consistency in our coaching staff for years. You put all those things together, and I think it helps you to survive maybe some lean years there, and help you remain competitive and stay competitive. And then, and you hope when you got a team that, has some of the things you can't control, which is some talent and natural ability and things. We try not to get caught up in what we have and don't have with that. That's not, we can control how we develop them and how we grow them. We just can't always control how big, how strong, how fast, how gifted those people are. But when you do have a group come through that has a lot of those things, you hope you're competing for championships in the postseason. And so we all have a vision. We're all on the same page. We all want the same thing. And I think when you've got that, doesn't mean you always agree. We don't always agree, but we frankly don't care who gets it right. We just want to get it right and do what's best for our kids and program. And I think when you put all those factors together, that's what gives you and gives your kids a chance, to be successful every year.
So would you say maybe your program success has an allure to some kids because you guys have been so successful? Because no one wants to. Well, I think most kids, not most, a lot of kids want to play football, but it's a lot harder to commit to it if you know you're going to win 2 games for combined your 4 years.
I think that kids have to see value in what they're doing. I think they want to be challenged. I think they want to feel like it's a challenge. I think they want to feel like they're around others who take pride in what they do and enjoy being with it. And there's no doubt that winning is, helps with a lot of that and helps generate excitement. And it brings, we've got camera guys that come out and kids think that's cool, and your program gets promoted. We get tremendous help in our booster club and the things that they do with not just the kids experience, but also, they do a lot with social media presence and stuff like that. And I'm a little bit old school and I'm not real hip on a lot of those things. So it's nice to have people who do that. And it's just kind of the way of the world right now. And, and like I said, we just get so much support, from our families, from our parents, from our kids, and we ask a lot out of them. And and the ones who we're a little bit of a dinosaur. We still train 4 days a week in the summer, just training, not practicing, just lifting, running, doing those things. We do it at 6 o'clock in the morning. They got to get up all summer, come in, and that we improve physically, but we really find out who really cares about our guys, who cares about our program, who really wants to be here, and who's passionate about this, and I think you want to get rewarded for that and get some feel good, which comes from the wins, and and if you do that, yeah, I do. I think it plays a factor, and like I said, I've been on the other side of that where it's a struggle because you're not, and so you certainly appreciate it when you're in a spot where you are getting a certain level of success.
So, and nearing the end here, do you think you're how many times have you had to change your scheme over these years? From like maybe more of a passing, more of a rushing offense. How much have you had to change it from talent pool to talent pool?
Yeah, and that's a good question. We've actually, when I got here, we had run the wing tee for quite a while under center, and frankly, we've kept those principles the same over the time I've been here. Now, what we have done is we've gone from under center, we've gone to shotgun. We have made it, and frankly, we made throwing the ball a little in practice and things more of a priority. And it was as much because we didn't defend the pass worth a damn. And so we needed to get better at it. So we need to get better at doing it. So we felt like it helped us defend it better. It's still not our staple, but, I think having, and when we look at our system as a whole, offensively and defensively, we look at it, as I mentioned earlier, like a toolbox, and we have all these different tools and schemes and things we can go to. We have a foundation of things that we're going to run every year, regardless of talent and stuff like that. And then we have all these other things that we can go to and utilize based on our kids' strengths, and obviously everybody wants to utilize those and maximize those the best they can. And even since we've gone to shotgun, which we did that, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and it's helped our passing game some. Again, nobody's it's not the first thing people prepare for when they play us by any means, but it is what's helped us. I think, we've just not typically been a team here in the last 5 or 6 years that can just cram a round peg in a square hole, and just say, by God, we're going to run the ball and we're going to do this. And we need to have flexibility and versatility and be able to take how we're being defended and have things we can do and go to and use when that happens. So we've kept our foundation the same, but we've definitely evolved over the years.
I'm sure the lack of size in the line also probably influenced the passing offense. Also, you need to make sure your center can snap the ball back a few yards.
Yeah, that was when we first started doing this, because nobody in the youth league, we'd never used shotgun. I'll never forget, we sat in one of our defensive coordinator, we were at his house one spring evening after school, and we're like, man, are we really going to do this? Because none of us had ever coached shotgun stuff. And we just decided, you know what, we're going to do it. And so we went to it, and we hadn't had a center that had ever snapped the ball shotgun. And I'll tell you, there for a while, it was we could look like a 3-ring circus sometimes with balls flying everywhere and everything else. But it's I hope right now I think we take the snapping for granted, and hopefully we keep taking it for granted because it just is happening, and so we're happy about that.
So that's all I got question wise. Coach slash athletic director, is there anything you'd like to plug or tell us
Uh,
about?
No, I don't think too much. I think this is a neat thing that you're doing. I've never been on a podcast before, so this is my first. So that was fun. I enjoyed. Sometimes we get a lot of stock questions, and it was nice getting some original discussion here. So appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate you taking time out of your day and including us. And hope wish you all the best and hope it keeps going well.
So when's your next home game?
This Friday, so
This
we've
Tecumseh.
Tecumseh's at home, and then actually we had last week, this week, and next week are all at home, so we have kind of a string there.
And nice little stretch in the schedule.
Yes, we appreciate that. We won't like it next year when we're on the road 3 weeks in a row, but we'll enjoy it right now.
So I've been Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast. This has been Southridge head coach Scott Buening, and that's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you.
Hey guys, this is Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe where you can. Thanks.